So for February, I decided to try recording a voiceover. We'll see how this goes. February is kind of a transitional month, I would say. It can be still cold and pretty and snowy, but it can also be really dirty and muddy and wet. So it's not a particularly beautiful time at the homestead, as you'll see in these pictures. Sometimes it would get so cold that the snow would freeze and you could walk on top of it without sinking into it. We also finally were able to get the top piece for the fireplace correctly done, so Tyler got that installed and began doing some other little finishing work on the fireplace.
Alright. Get your bone. Get your bone. Good job. What a job.
One week we had just horrendous freezing rain, and I ended up going through all of my windshield wiper fluid trying to get home from out of town. And so this is me trying to figure out how to put windshield fluid back in my car when I couldn't get my car open because it was frozen shut because the wind chill was negative 27 degrees. I ended up having to let the car run for about 30 minutes to warm it up, and then I used my ice pick to help open the front of the car, which probably is not a good idea, so that's why I didn't film that part. We were very fortunate to be gifted some meat, actually a ton of meat, but I didn't really have a way to have it organized. It was just laying in the deep freezer, so this month I worked on organizing that project. So I put cured meats. Tyler's father makes these different cured meats, beef sticks, summer sausage for us, and bacon in one part because they tend to get lost in the freezer pretty easily. And then I put all of our minced meat, ground meats, in this tub so that they also don't get lost because they're pretty small. And then underneath I have some of the pork cuts and leftover broth that I still have on one side. Heavier duty cuts that are wrapped in paper are organized by type of meat. Then we also had the exciting experience of having a leak in one of our pipes. So this is what I filmed from that. And then it warmed up a lot and our acreage started flooding and becoming a muddy mess. If you followed us for any amount of time, you might recognize this area. This is where my garden used to be, but it floods here now, so it's not a great place to have a garden. One of the crazy things about this time of year is when everything melts and then it freezes again overnight, it creates all of this ice, which just makes it kind of scary to walk around. Raspberries from last year's harvest. Trying out making a raspberry pie. Had never made one before. So it kind of sunk, and it was quite tart. I was surprised at how tart it was. My poor crate homemade compost bin up against the shed is completely falling apart. Thank you to anybody who's watching this for sticking with me and giving the voiceover a try this month. We will see you next month in March.